Welcome back, guys, to the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Well, last episode, after checking out the rest of the cabin, we made contact with a strange man who introduced himself as Herlock Sholmes and made a wildly inaccurate deduction as to Ryunosuke's identity. On talking to him, however, we did learn a lot more about possible things surrounding this case and this voyage of a fleeing Russian revolutionary and a missing prima ballerina, as now Herlock has gone off to investigate other rooms and we attempt to move around ourselves, with another sailor having just entered our room. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? Oh, no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. I can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir? Yes? What can I do for you? I recognize that face, but it can't be. Well, you can recognize that. It is! I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosonaga. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you. My heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board the ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board, but perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. Hello. You undercover specialist. So what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. Huh? This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asogi-san's bodyguard. It was Minister of Justice Jigoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asogi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How could that even have been a possibility? I'm not sure. But these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's great powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated. Obviously, we couldn't give Asogi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. And I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin, not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace! All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector. So if there's anything at all I can do to help now, just say the word. Give me permission to investigate. Oh, do you actually find me suspicious? Actually, it was probably a first thing to quantify. We'll do what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer? Of course not! We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes, so we need to be allowed out this cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how. There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruhodo-san. By presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence? It's just the same as when you were in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel. Yeah, but I don't know what I'm doing. And choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use. So, evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Alright, yes. I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. Okay. Well, we'll go back. We'll go to present. And then we'll look as to something that probably isn't known on the ship. So I guess it's that. Because the whole speckled band dangling from the ventilator grill, connecting it to the next room. I mean, I can't get a penalty, right? Actually, I don't know. No, I can't. Not when we're doing it to people like this. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that. But what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins to the next door cabin. That's right. So if we could investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. All right then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asogi-san safe. This is the least I can do. Thank you. I see you at the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Just select move and we can leave this cabin at last. Move. Alright, let's see what we can find out. Why, thank you for helping me in every way that you could. Hopefully. As we move via carriage, if that was the thing, to the first-class passageway. The passageway that connects the first-class cabins on the SS Bursa. But of course, it's not as simple as just walking to the other cabin. What is that? In the bottom left. Phew, I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be. And this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama was being sent on this study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really? That must be awful. Oh, look over there. That's another crewman keeping watch. And he looks enormous, even if he is sitting down. The door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like people in handcuffs? Naruhodo-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, yes, I know, but the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard. And ever since then, I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please, don't give me that pitying look. I mean, I don't even know he was still alive in some respects. He must have needed to be out of the room more often than that. Meanwhile, in what is that device in the bottom left? Ah, a trap for catching mice. Yes, we have plenty of those back home in Japan. I can't believe I didn't realize that. That's cheese, is it? Although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Yeah, that's why I was thinking it was a weird device. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what is called cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Oh, yeah. Japan and cheese have this weird relationship, don't they? Cheese. I wonder what that tastes like. You can't eat it now, Hodo-san. The trap will snap shut on your fingers. Really? But... I suppose you're right. As I understand, it's hard to get cheese in Japan. You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Or you. I'll find a little snack for you later. I don't think it's supply is the matter. I think it's popularity. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that's our cabin. Not our cabin, it's Kazuma-sama's. Sorry? Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? As small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. These cabins are the finest on the ship. My own cabin in steerage is number 539, by the way. 500 and... How many cabins are there? Which makes you wonder how many first class cabins there actually are. Because there's only 2 here, for example. Are there only ever 2 first class passengers? What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, press it only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh, this I have to see. What are you doing now, Haru-san? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. Huh. I wish everything would just stop. The ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. Let's continue checking things out. That's the cabin we want to go into. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. Oh, excuse me, we, need to get inside this cabin here? This sailor's eyes speak volumes. They're clearly saying, keep out. That's what I wrote on the sign we put over the wardrobe doors. Although this man's version is definitely more effective. It doesn't look like he's going to let us pass. That's a problem. So we're not allowed in yet. This looks like a plan of the SS Burlia. It shows each deck. Look. The Burlia is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but... How is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san. It is. Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan. Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many, many times larger than this ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Well, I suppose so. Yes, floating. That's a huge book on top of the table there, and there's a pen next to it. Yes, that looks like the ship's log. Should we have a little look through it? The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such a beautiful handwriting. And nothing. No reaction at all. I thought he might appreciate the compliment. I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruhodo-san, even to a sailor. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there was nothing to report. What are you in thought about? Excuse me, but could I ask you something? You little stowaway murderer! That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you? You little third-class lady's maid! Oh. We seem to have caught the sailor on a bad day, Susato-san. I am not a sailor. My mother gave me name. I am senior crewman, Bif Strogenov. Phew. The best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. Well, hello, Biff. First class cabin area. Mr. Strogenov, about this first class cabin area. Here we are in finest part of Bullier steamship. For very important persons. What sort of very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret. Many important persons. That is why I'm always guarding this place. Gosh, that's amazing. Somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in ocean, but Strogenov is not animal. Thank you? If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Asugi's currently occupied? Da! Susato-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da. I think it's probably Russian for yes, or no. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, it sounds like there is somebody in the next door cabin at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Who's the passenger in the next door cabin? Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Asugi's? His name is Mr. Grimesby Roylott. He is a very important Western gentleman. Grimesby, actually, sounds like. A Western gentleman? Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder of student boy. How can you be so sure about that? Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East Islands. That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard? That is not your business. Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now and I've been in Kazuma's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone there. Well, presumably since this gentleman is occupying one of the first class cabins, he must be rather important, is that right? That is not your business. Okay then, last night. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Strogenov? Da, all time, so criminals like you cannot come in, or get out. I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all? It is sad about student boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? Het! What? I don't know that one. Is that Niet? Susato-san, did you understand that? It was clearly a no. It's Niet then. I saw nothing unusual, nothing at all. And you didn't hear any strange noises or sense anything was wrong in some way? I said no. Sorry. I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. Pursue! This is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh. It is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Yes, all right. Bulkhead to second-class area staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain. Or, as English say, when the pigs fly. Yes, I understand. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. Right, we've got rid of him. There's one last thing to examine, I'm pretty sure, though. And that was the door itself. That's the way to the second-class area of the ship. Is something wrong? I was thinking about making a run for it, just for a moment. Things aren't exactly going well for me. I might be wrong, but I imagine the moment you reach for the handle of the door, that burly seaman would surely shoot you dead. Well, he's gone, but it's locked. Oh dear, I'm sorry. Perhaps I went a little too far there. No, I started it with my talk of running away. And there's no way I could run away while Kazuma's death remains a mystery anyway. Also, there's nowhere for you to run to. You're in the middle of the ocean. Where do you go? In we go. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours, the one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our inquiries. How annoying. Ah! What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. High-pitched? It must have been a woman. Stand aside. I'm about to break the door down. Mr. Sholmes! I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What prey can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. And so, in first class cabin 2, what will we find? Who are you? A Western gentleman. This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. True, this old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Get out, all of you, now! Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimesby Roylott, I believe. Yes, that's me. And you are? I am the one and only, the actual Herlock Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt? No. I'm a great detective among great detectives, one who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. The man uses that magazine like a business card. A detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within this wardrobe this time. So might I be as bold as to ask you to open that small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid! How can anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk? Don't look at me. Oh my! Did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the case just shook. Leave, now! Otherwise, I'll call the steward. So this is Kazuma's neighbor, Mr. Grimesby Roylott. There's no doubt about it. This strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues before that burly sailor returns. Should we talk or should we prod the case? Do you want to talk? Mr. Roylott, we'd like to talk to you about something. No. Oh, I do not want to talk. Leave my cabin now. This is going terribly. We're not getting anywhere here. I agree, but there may be someone else who can help. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Roylott. Why is he in there? What are you doing? Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed, I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of detection into service. Oh, and it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually, you're spot on. For once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what this is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why? Why, the truth, of course. I thought it'd be vodka. Though it should be pinpointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right, yes, well, tank him up. Maybe he'll let something slip. Nothing stereotypical, honest. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh, yes, please! Well then, what you are about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Are you? Okay. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time, it occurs to me, is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you. Or anyone. That's right. I'm Mr. Sholmes. I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. Shh! I must have complete silence! What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. Huh? There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. What you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you are about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? Huh? And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn. You are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? Oh, Naruhodo-san, I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction. Nothing could deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? What an ineffable twaddle! Oh yes, I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. And now I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but all the color is drained from Mr. Roylott's face. It looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How? How could you? How could I possibly know such things? You wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So do I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Well, at an very interesting point in our adventure, we bring another episode to an end. The train of reasoning is about to choo-choo be boarded, as Herlock Sholmes was randomly correct. This is surprising to one and all, but we continue on with more Great Ace Attorney adventures next time to find out what else we shall learn from Grimesby. I'll see you guys then for more. Bye-bye.